I think the primary challenge basically is getting government, the public sector, the private sector, and the farmers themselves to work together in a dynamic partnership. You need the government to really take leadership in focusing on investing in agriculture, smallholder agriculture. You got to have the private sector to come in and link farmers with markets and to also invest and make profit out of it. And you got to get a small farmer himself to change his mindset from being a farmer that is just producing for himself, but producing for markets. So smallholder agriculture has to become a business. Our business is to make it profitable.
Are we seeing a significant enough shift in that attitude where, people have been saying what we need is profitable land reform, where we see the attitude shifting from land being a tool that governments can use to win votes and driving more the commercial agenda of that tool?
We are saying that, for instance, here in this country, in Tanzania, you have Kilimo Kwanza, agriculture first. And President Kikwete is demonstrating not only leadership, but commitment in exactly doing that. What we discussed this morning is taking the southern corridor, for instance, as an example, where you're going to get farmers, government, private sector investing in the southern corridor to be able to boost agricultural production and productivity, but at the same time linking farmers to markets. What has been missing has been this linkage. Increased production, not linked to markets, so there's no incentive. What we're beginning to see now, as I said, Tanzania is an example, and several other countries that are beginning to deliver on the Maputo declaration that we should put at least 10% of our budgets into the agricultural sector. So the answer is yes. We're beginning to see commitments of governments, and we're beginning to see action that is taking place.
With that progress that has been made, though, with Zim still in turmoil over land reform and uncertainty persisting amongst the farming community, and similar noises coming out of South Africa as well, where we're seeing being advocated nationalization. To what extent are we making progress, though? Because it always seems like we're taking one step forward and then two steps back. Are we seeing a shake in confidence levels?
Not really. Not my institution, IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, works with farmers, works with governments to develop policies, land policies, like land titling. Farmers have to own their own land for them to invest. Where that doesn't happen, then you have this problem of shifting. And I think as more and more we make it possible for the landless, and particular women who make up the majority of those who produce food, to be able to own land. When it's your land, you will want to invest in it. And I think there's going to have to be a change. So with land titling, with communal land ownership that is beginning to emerge in some countries, I think we are making progress. The problem is you do not hear of the success stories, because it doesn't make the headlines. You hear of the cases where there are disturbances, where there are shifts. But let's give some credit to our governments. They are making effort, but they still have to make some more.
If we look at IFAD and its role, that's certainly what you're encouraging on the continent. How much are you spending to actually drive that agenda?
Here in Tanzania, since 1978-80, we have invested about $270 million in various programs: marketing, infrastructure, microfinance, production and productivity. And at the end of this year, we'll be taking to my board a very special project, which we're doing in conjunction with the government of Tanzania, with the African Development Bank, and AGRA, the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, where all three of us are investing about $165 million. My institution is putting on $92 million to be able to upscale success stories. We're looking at financial services, we're looking at marketing infrastructure, and we're looking at empowerment. So we have the potential here to demonstrate that successful stories can be upscaled.
Looking at beyond injecting capital into this sector, we know that a majority of the African countries still import to a large extent. Are we moving closer towards sustainability, first of all, and then to a position where we can actually be exporting? And I'm not talking internationally, but just across borders in terms of regional trade.
This is going to be one of the main bottlenecks with all what we're doing. Essentially because for the last 25 years, we disinvested in agriculture. Now you want to see a sea change in the next 25 years. That's going to take a lot of work together. because essentially for us to begin to reduce our imports, we need to increase our production, create incentives in markets, and begin to see this increased production displacing imported goods. I think we should be looking at long-term planning, not the 3 to 5 year projects. We should be looking at 10, 15, 25-year horizons where whole programs are able to bring about this shift. I believe we will be able to get there if we are able to maintain the priority to agriculture as the engine for economic growth. Over the long term, we'll get there. But in most countries, agriculture is like a tap. You turn it on, you turn it off. There's no continuity, there's no sustainability. But I think with governments of President Kikwete and others, Malawi, Ghana, Mali, we have a chance of showing that Africa can feed itself.